welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling, well, one of early Christianity's really quite intriguing puzzles, St. James. Our sources, they reveal this figure whose influence, it's often understated, but it seems absolutely foundational in shaping the nascent church.
Absolutely foundational, yeah.
So we'll be diving deep into some fascinating historical and theological questions surrounding him, especially his true identity and the unparalleled role he played.
It's a huge topic.
It is. Our mission today, to unpack these sources, really trying to understand who St. James actually was, why he was so important, and how his legacy continues to resonate with us today.
Yeah.
So let's start with that first puzzle, his identity.
Right.
Because this one individual, he's associated with quite a few names, isn't he? James, son of Alphaeus, James the Less, James the Just,
And the big one.
and most intriguingly, James the brother of the Lord.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is the linguistic connection. You see, Alpha is Aramaic for Cleopas in Greek. So James, son of Alphaeus, is also known as James, son of Cleopas.
Oh, okay, that clarifies that bit.
And according to the preferred view in our source material, he was actually Jesus' cousin.
Cousin, right.
By blood.
Right.
The son of Mary, who was the Virgin Mary's sister, and this Cleopas.
Okay, so to cousin. That familial connection then raises a pretty fundamental question. What did brother of the Lord really mean back then in that era? And why has that single phrase just sparked so much theological debate for, centuries?
Yeah, it really has.
Let's dive into those different interpretations.
Okay, so this phrase, brothers of the Lord, it's been at the heart of a lot of discussion. Historically, you basically get three main opinions.
Three main camps.
Exactly. The first view, held notably by Tertullian and then later by a guy called Helvidius around 380 AD,
Okay.
suggests that James and the others mentioned were literal sons of Joseph and Mary, born after Jesus.
But actual younger siblings.
That's the idea. But this view is strongly rejected by our source material and, frankly, much of early church tradition.
Why the strong rejection?
Well, St. Jerome, he vehemently refuted it back in 383 AD. He even went so far as to call Tertullian and Helvidius schismatics.
Wow, strong words.
Very. Because, you see, it clashed directly with the foundational doctrine of the Virgin Mary as ever virgin.
Ah, okay. The perpetual virginity.
Precisely. That was central to the early church's understanding of Christ's unique nature and, his miraculous birth. So it shows how deeply intertwined identity and theology were right from the start.
Setting the stage for doctrine later on.
Absolutely. Then you have the second view. This one's more prevalent in some Eastern churches, like the Greek and Syrian traditions.
Okay, what's their take?
They posit that these brothers were sons of Joseph, but from a previous marriage.
Ah, so half-brothers, older ones perhaps?
Exactly. The idea is his first wife died before his betrothal to the Virgin Mary. And this theory, it actually emerged from apocryphal writings.
Non-canonical stuff.
Right. Texts like the Gospel of James, sometimes called the Protevangelium, they circulated but weren't accepted into the main canon.
That Eastern Church view, it sounds, plausible on the surface. What were the main sort of theological or scriptural hurdles that made it problematic for others, like the Latin and Coptic traditions?
Yeah, good question. Because if you connect this to the bigger picture, the main issue is that it implies these brothers would be older than Jesus.
Right, if they were from a previous marriage.
Exactly. And this contradicts, numerous Old and New Testament prophecies and texts. We're talking Psalm 89, Romans 8, Colossians 1, Hebrews, even Zechariah 12.
A lot of scripture.
A lot. They consistently refer to Jesus as the firstborn, or the eldest, or the only son, but in this unique, preeminent sense.
Ah, so firstborn carries a special weight there.
It really does. This consistent theme across Scripture solidified the understanding that Jesus was truly the firstborn in a way that kind of precluded older siblings from Joseph's prior marriage.
Okay, that makes sense. So what's the third view?
So this brings us to the third view, and this is the affirmed position of the Coptic Orthodox Church and the Latin Church. It's also now accepted by quite a few scholars, even some Protestants.
And this is the cousin view again.
This is the cousin view, that James, son of Alphaeus, or Cleopas, was indeed the cousin of Jesus, son of Mary, the Virgin Mary's sister.
Got it.
And this position, it was strongly defended by major figures like Jerome and Augustine. You find that ancient church tradition pretty much universally identifies James, son of Alphaeus, with James, the brother of the Lord.
Is there a key piece of scripture that locks this in for them?
There is. What truly cements this, for our sources anyway, is some explicit confirmation from Paul's epistle to the Galatians.
Okay.
In Galatians 1, verses 18 and 19, Paul says, "Then after 3 years I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter and remained with him 15 days. But I saw none of the other apostles except James, the Lord's brother."
Okay, that's pretty direct.
It's very direct. It clearly indicates James, the brother of the Lord, was considered an apostle just like Peter, and directly connects the cousin James, son of Alphaeus Clopas, to this prominent figure, the Lord's brother.
Right. So, with his identity, let's say, clarified as likely the cousin, what does this tell us about his undeniable, pivotal place within the early church? Because this is where his impact, it just seems to become really apparent.
Oh, absolutely. He becomes the first bishop of Jerusalem.
The first bishop
Yeah.
in Jerusalem itself.
Yes, and he stays in this incredibly crucial position right until his martyrdom. His episcopacy, it's estimated to have begun around 34 AD.
Okay, very early on.
Very early. And that aligns with Jerome's statement that he served as pastor there for about 30 years.
30 years in Jerusalem.
And, the early church showed, well, incredible wisdom, really, placing him there. Jerusalem was the epicenter of Judaism.
Heart of it all.
Exactly. And James had this unique blend. His familial connection to Jesus, obviously, but also his personal sanctity, his strict adherence to Jewish asceticism.
Which would have resonated.
Immensely. It made him the perfect bridge builder. It wasn't just like a convenient appointment. It feels like a strategic masterstroke. They leveraged his unique standing to evangelize Jewish communities while also establishing the new faith's credibility within that existing cultural framework.
Building trust from within, almost.
Kind of, yeah. There's even an ancient tradition recounted by Epiphanius that describes James wearing a gold plate on his forehead.
A gold plate, like the high priest.
Exactly like the high priest, inscribed "Holy to the Lord." Whether literal or symbolic, it speaks volumes about his spiritual authority and the reverence he commanded.
Wow. And Paul mentions him too, right?
He does. Paul himself, in Galatians 2, describes James as one of the 3 pillars of the Church of the Circumcision.
Pillars. Alongside Peter and John.
Well, interestingly, Paul actually mentions James before Peter and John in that passage.
Oh, really? That's significant.
It is. It indicates his preeminent status, the profound respect he commanded. Paul says he and Barnabas were given the right hand of fellowship by James, Peter, and John.
Okay, so a real leader. What about the Council of Jerusalem?
Ah, yes, another key moment. His leadership at the First Church Council in Jerusalem around 50 AD is another huge testament to his influence.
This was the big debate about the Gentiles.
That's the one. He presided over this pivotal debate.
Mm-hmm.
Did Gentiles need to Judaize to enter the faith? Adopt Jewish laws, customs, circumcision.
A massive question for the future of the church.
Absolutely defining. And Acts 15 records how his decisive opinion brought the whole matter to a close. He effectively shaped the future direction of Christianity towards being a universal faith.
And there's a link to his writing.
Yes, scholars have noted stylistic similarities between the council's decree, the letter they sent out, and the Epistle of James. It suggests he might have actually authored both.
Interesting connection.
And there's one more thing from Galatians, that incident in Antioch.
Right, where Peter's behavior changed.
Exactly. Paul says Peter changed his behavior, stopped eating with Gentiles when certain men came from James.
Showing James's influence even reached Antioch and affected Peter.
Clearly. It shows his significant influence even over Peter, demonstrating his authority extended well beyond just Jerusalem.
Okay, his leadership is undeniable.
Huh.
But he's also known as James the Just. What was it about his life, his personal conduct, that earned him such a profound title?
Yeah, the Just. Hegesippus, an early church historian, gives us this remarkable account of his rigorous asceticism.
What did that involve?
Well, according to Hegesippus, James was consecrated from birth. He never cut his hair. He abstained from wine and strong drink. He was a vegetarian.
Yeah, vegetarian, okay.
Apparently so. Always wore linen, never wool, and prayed constantly. So frequently, the tradition says that his knees became calloused like a camel's.
Like a camel's knees from praying.
That's the image Hegesippus gives us. It's easy to just read about these ancient figures, but try to imagine that daily life. Praying so much, your knees are literally hardened like that.
That really brings the title The Just to life, doesn't it? Highlights that deep personal piety.
It really does. And this profound piety, combined with his deep knowledge of Scripture, it garnered him immense respect, even among non-Christian Jews, and apparently led to many conversions during his time as bishop.
And Josephus mentions him too, right? The Jewish historian.
Yes, that's perhaps even more striking. Josephus, writing around the time of the destruction of Jerusalem, a contemporary Jewish historian.
Not a Christian source.
Not at all. He actually attributed the calamities, the destruction that fell upon the Jews during the siege of Jerusalem,
yes,
as divine retribution for the killing, for the blood of James the Just.
Wow. Josephus saying the destruction of Jerusalem was punishment for killing James. That's incredible coming from him.
It is incredible, and it's precisely that external validation that makes Josephus's account so powerful.
Right, because he wasn't trying to promote Christianity.
Exactly. It speaks volumes about James's immense moral authority, not just within the Christian community, but clearly among the Jewish population as a whole. For a Jewish historian to link that catastrophic event to divine retribution for James's death, it just underscores the widespread veneration he must have had.
And the perception of his exceptional righteousness.
It essentially elevated his martyrdom, in a way, to a cosmic event, validating that title, the Just, even outside Christian circles.
But that growing influence, it clearly threatened some powerful figures. How did those tensions sort of escalate? What ultimately led to his martyrdom?
Well, yes, his growing influence, especially among the Jews, it deeply angered the establishment. The high priests, scribes, Pharisees, they saw him as a dangerous threat.
Someone undermining their authority.
Precisely, and they conspired to eliminate him. Hegesippus and Clement of Alexandria, they recount the horrific details.
How did it happen?
They apparently placed him up high on a wing of the temple, intending for him to testify against Christ, to denounce him publicly.
A public recantation, they hoped.
Exactly, but instead he proclaimed that Jesus was the Messiah. And the crowd, maybe surprisingly, reacted by shouting, "Hosanna to the Son of David!"
So it backfired on them.
Massively. Enraged, they threw him down from the temple.
Threw him down,
and as he lay there, they started stoning him. But even then, Hegesippus says, he knelt and prayed for his persecutors, asking God to forgive them.
while being sconed.
Yes. And then a fuller, someone who worked with cloth, using a club, struck him on the head with his club, killing him instantly.
A brutal end.
A very brutal end. The exact date, as I mentioned, is a bit debated. Maybe 62 or 63 AD, that's Josephus and Jerome. Considered most likely, or possibly later, 69 AD, according to Hegesippus.
But regardless of the precise year.
Regardless, his death was this powerful, ultimate testament to his unwavering faith.
What an absolutely extraordinary journey for one individual, from, Jesus' cousin, maybe slightly in the background initially, to this foundational leader, a pillar, and ultimately a martyr for the faith.
It really is remarkable.
So, thinking about his legacy, what are James's most enduring contributions? What did he leave behind?
Well, his most direct, tangible contribution is probably the Epistle of James.
The letter in the New Testament.
Exactly. It's a Catholic, meaning universal, letter attributed to him. Its central message, and this is key, emphasizes the vital importance of good works for salvation alongside faith.
Faith and works, that's been a big discussion point.
Oh, absolutely. That theme has sparked significant theological discussion throughout Christian history, and even the dating of the epistle is debated.
When might it have been written?
Some suggest pretty early, maybe the 40s AD, which would be before the Jerusalem Council. That would make it one of the earliest New Testament writings.
Wow, really early.
Others think it was composed later, maybe just before his martyrdom in the 60s.
Okay. And besides the epistle?
There's also the Liturgy of St. James. This is a significant ancient liturgical prayer that bears his name.
A form of worship service?
Essentially, yes. It's spread throughout various churches, particularly influential in the Eastern traditions. And the tradition of really all the Eastern churches universally confirms its attribution to him.
So his influence extended into worship practices too?
Deeply. Highlighting his profound and lasting impact on Christian worship and practice, not just doctrine or leadership.
This deep dive, it really reveals that even figures whose identities were, debated or maybe aren't as famous as Peter or Paul, they played these monumental roles, shaping the very foundations of, a global movement, a global faith.
It really does. And it reminds us, I think, that Behind every major historical figure, there's often this complex interplay of identity, circumstance, personal conviction that can profoundly alter the course of human belief, often in ways we don't fully appreciate at first glance.
So a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe reflect on. What stands out to you about how one individual's personal piety, their strong conviction like James did, just even when facing immense scrutiny, opposition, and ultimately martyrdom, can so profoundly influence the course of history and faith for centuries to come?